All right, folks, I'm back. Another edition of Letting It Out. Been gone for a minute. Got a little busy with life and some life things and whatnot. Where do I even want to start at here? So much shit I feel like so much shit happened this weekend. Uh, we'll talk a little about current events per usual, Astroworld and whatnot. What the fuck else I want to talk about? What else is going on? NBA season. We got the Suns owner. Pardon me. I'm engaging in some Sour Patch Kids. These are not official sponsors or nothing, so don't be like, you know, hitting them up about nothing I say, trying to get your boy canceled and whatnot. Not a sponsorship, but yeah, I was engaging in some Sour Patch, which you take two pools from a blunt or two, and you'll start thinking like, yo, why Sour Patch only come in kids? Like we eating minors. That's really what's going on out here. And where in the fuck are the Sour Patch parents? Let's hit a little crowd applause for that. We got some applause here on the soundboard. Yes, we do. Where in the Where in the fuck are the Sour Patch parents, folks? Anyway, yeah, I got a little soundboard here because I don't want to get bored. As a comedian, I'm used to audience reactions. So sometimes I say something on here and you go, damn, where's my applause? But here's what I want to start with. We had an election week in New York last week. Y'all know me, I don't vote. And people get off into the whole, well, you didn't vote, so you don't have a right to complain. But here's all I want to say about that. All summer, I drove around here in New York City and you could see people marching and protesting and, defund the police, defund the police. Listen, we elected Eric Adams. For those of you listening, Eric Adams is a former police. I think he was a cop for 20 years. So he's black, but he's a cop. So I'm a little split on how to feel about that, but I definitely say anybody that lives in New York and votes, unless you can explain to me that you didn't vote for Eric Adams, I don't want to hear defund the police no more. We elected Eric Adams, a former police. Kamala, the beautiful red bone, who refers to herself as the top cop, and status quo crime bill Joe Biden. So turns out we love fucking cops. That's our thing. We love the police, actually. We say we don't, but we do. Look where our votes go. Which I'm actually go ahead and tell you. One thing I love about New Yorkers is like New Yorkers don't give a fuck who you are, They don't give a fuck about your sexuality. They don't really give a fuck about who you vote or how you vote. New Yorkers don't give a fuck about your religion, where you come from. Only thing New Yorkers give a fuck about is whoever you are. That's whoever you say you are. That's who you better be. Because New York, Eric Adams, before he ran, he kept saying that he lived in New York. And everybody was like, no, you don't. You've lived in Jersey for a couple years now. That's where you're registered. Your vehicles are registered too. That's your official listed address. And he kept being like, no, 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 I live in Brooklyn. And finally, he called everybody in New York's bluff. And he was like, yo, y'all could come to my house. Now, anywhere else in the world, you'd be like, yeah, y'all could come to my house. And people would not take that literally. But New York was like, you said we could come to your house, and it was Channel 6 News, and everybody walking through his house. They're walking around. And I mean, Eric Adams, I think he's like 50 something in his late 50s. And, there's Jordan 3s there at the crib. And it's like a poster of fucking Kanye West on the wall. And they're like, bro, you don't live here. Your son probably lives here. His neighbors, they even asked, like, yo, y'all seen this dude? And they were like, nah, we never seen that dude. Bald-headed black dude. Eric Adams was like, yo, them the new neighbors. I've been in Brooklyn for 30 years. Those the gentrifiers. And it was like, word, the gentrifiers. So that's what I love about New York. New York don't give a fuck who you are, but you just better be exactly who you say you are. And he was not. So they're like, yo, don't lie to us, son. But it looks like they don't care too much. But I don't want to hear defund the police from nobody anymore. And that's another funny thing that's been going on with the old Stacks-a-Nation. The Stacks-a-Nation, because we're not going to say that word on this channel, folks. I already got 0 views, and I feel like I would have -5 views if the algorithm picked up on me saying that word. So we're going to go with Stacks-a-Nation. I think that works. Anyway, that's the funny thing that's been going on, because the NYPD, they gave them a mandate, which is basically a law, a mandate that said, everybody on the workforce in New York City, NYPD, must be vaccinated by October 10th, right? Then October 10th came around, and still a lot of them were not vaccinated. So they were like, yo, okay, we know we said October 10th. All right, we're going to give y'all a new date. So the new date was like October 25th. October 25th came, and they still weren't vaccinated. They said, all right, you've got to the end of the month. The end of the month came, and they still weren't vaccinated. Now they're giving them incentives and saying they'll add $500 to their paycheck, starting November 1st. It is almost November 10th, and a lot of them still aren't vaccinated. And I think it's fucking hilarious, because the cops are the people who, for the last 5-6 years, have been telling us, just comply with the law. And it's like, what is a mandate? A mandate is basically a law. It's an order, So you go, who's resisting now? Who's resisting? Are you resisting? And every time, they kill a kid, Tamir Rice or whoever, Eric Gardner. Well, if he'd just been complying with the officers, if he just wasn't resisting. So it's like, who's resisting now? We've come full circle. Anyway, where was I on my rant? I think we could start with the Astroworld stuff. You know what? Let's start with Kanye. Let's start on a good note. Let's not discuss death. So, those of you who've been listening to me, I'm a big Kanye West fan. He's probably the reason I didn't go to college. Everybody bugs at the things he does or says, but I just look at it like, yo, this dude has never been conventional. Never been a conventional rapper. It's like at a time when rappers were wearing bulletproof vests, like 50 Cent, and holding guns, or rapping about selling drugs. Jay-Z was very popular when he came out. This dude eschewed all that, He's got a teddy bear on the front of his album, and he's rapping about quitting college. He made me really look at it from a standpoint of, maybe I don't want to go to college and just be a good employee. Like, maybe I want to do something kind of more entrepreneurial. Ooh, I fucked that word up. Entrepreneurial. That's a hard word, man. Anyway, or artistic. So here I am. And I actually just made 16 years as a comedian. So clap for me. We'll get some goddamn applause for that. We get some goddamn applause for that. I just made 16 years as a comedian the other day. 16 fucking years for me. So yeah, and I actually forgot it was my anniversary. Went down to, I had a spot at New York Comedy Club on Saturday, and someone just casually happened to ask me, hey, you had a pretty good set. How long have you been doing it? I think it was another comedian. And right when they said that, I kind of looked at my phone and went, oh shit, November 6th. That's my anniversary. So yeah. Anyway, back to Kanye. It inspired me to be creative and to say, let's take some chances here. And on the scale of taking some chances, let's not be conventional. So Dude's always been different. Everybody bugged out when he put on the red MAGA hat, but I saw that coming of like this dude always goes left of what everybody else is doing, and he thinks for himself. Now I don't agree with everything, obviously, and I probably should have went out and voted for him. Forgive me, but whatever. I don't wear Yeezys either, but I know some niggas that wear Yeezys and they did not vote for him, so I'm off the hook. I support him musically and idea wise, but those shoes I still can't really get with them. Shits look like seashells with soles on them. So anyway, yeah, Kanye did his Drink Champs interview, which everyone was looking forward to because all summer he's just been wearing a mask, and he kind of let Donda speak for itself. He let his work speak for himself, which I've always thought a lot of times he should let his work speak for himself, because I feel like he has such great ideas musically and even lyrically that, you go back to, the first album, College Dropout, and people acting like, him doing gospel with the last two albums, you know, was some sort of deviation from his previous work. But it's like his first album, Jesus Walks, is on there. And he said, I can talk about anything except for Jesus. So coming back to him winning a Grammy for a gospel album, that it's like, this isn't as crazy as y'all are making it seem. Is it a little wild? Did I necessarily see it coming? No. But he's always had themes about God and mentions God on these albums. And he's always been very pro-black. It's like, even if you in a Benz, you still a nigga in a coupe is one of the greatest bars of all time. So anyway, he was on Drink Champs with Nori, which I was a little disappointed because Nori asked every guest on Drink Champs if they eat ass, and he didn't ask Kanye. So maybe it's coming in part two. I heard there's a part two today because it's like 2 hours. And the greatest thing about Kanye's interviews is you really don't have to ask him any questions. Sit him down, get him a drink, and he'll start telling you what's on his mind. And what's on his mind is some beautiful shit, beautifully twisted shit, a beautiful, dark, twisted fantasy, if you will. Anyway, Nori only asked Kanye on the entire podcast maybe 3 questions. And Kanye gave us 2.5 hours of just unfiltered thoughts. One of the things he said was talking about cancel culture. And he got into, people asking me why would I have the baby or Marilyn Manson around me. And he's just like, yo, we headed for 1984. He was referencing the George Orwell book, which some of you may have read. I'm going to go back and read it because we were actually too young to read these things that they gave us in middle school of like, yo, read this book or whatever. And it's about mind control. But you going, yo, this shit is 300 pages. I don't give a fuck about nothing at the age of 12 that much to be reading. But yeah, I think I need to go back and read those, and I am. So on my list of things to do, George Orwell, the author, he also wrote Animal Farm. Remember, we had to read that. And if you're into propaganda as I am, then the times we're living in right now is heavy with the propaganda. And if you don't pick up on it, or you're not smart enough to recognize when you're being fed propaganda, man, you'd be down the river with no paddle. And it's a lot of people that I see right now that's down the river with no paddle, where it's like you're taking your opinion straight from the media. And let's be real. How did Status Quo Joe pull off the 93 crime bill? That was all the media and propaganda, Going back to the Hillary Clintons and the Bill Clintons, and they were playing the game of, super predators. And shouts out to that young Black girl who I think she paid like $20K to go to a dinner. Maybe it wasn't that much, maybe $2 or $3K to go to a dinner during Hillary's election. And she pulled out a whole sign on them that said they must be brought to heel, the super predators. And it's like, don't let people forget that. So shouts out to her. I wish I knew her name. She's a fucking hero, the little Black girl that did that. And there's a picture, it's an iconic image, I feel like should be on t-shirts, because people have forgot And I don't even think she was alive back then, but it's like, no, you did that. And Crime Bill Joe was in office, I think, what, Delaware or whatever. He was a senator. So it's like, this ain't no new administration. But I don't want to get too hard on the politics, but I want to let y'all know, back to what Kanye was saying about 1984, straight mind control. You said the wrong thing. How the fuck I say the wrong thing? Maybe what I said just wasn't for you. Maybe you weren't the intended audience of what I was saying, but that doesn't mean I said the wrong thing. Anyway, so yeah, he was just talking about that and how, like, you know, the baby hasn't killed anybody. He hasn't, you know. He said some things. So what? You say some shit I don't like. But he was also railing at John Legend and them for being Democratic shields and just saying, like, you know, he flat out said, you know, I signed Big Sean, I signed John Legend. He said, like, for real, I know they moms. And he was like, yo, these motherfuckers didn't support my campaign as a president, you know. And it's like, he has a point, you know. He helps you get signed. And even if you go to route of, well, what the hell does Kanye know politically? It's like, what the hell did Donald Trump know? So doesn't look like it's that hard a job. Anyway, but yeah, he was saying some genius things. And even he said, you know, everybody's pitting him and Drake against each other. And he said, I'm way more rich than them. I remind him, Travis Scott, Kylie Jenner, all of them. I'm more rich than all of them combined. And he said sent some brotherly love out to Drake to say, yo, I'm a fan of CLB. He said he's a fan of CLB, and he's like, yo, I love the drums on what's the joint? TSU. He was like, I love the joint drums on there, the beat. He like, I want to remake that. But of course, what did the media print? Kanye says he's better than Drake. Kanye says this about Drake that you go, it's a 2.5 hour interview. He said several good things about the man. You didn't hear none of that. And the whole interview, and this is what I love about Kanye, is like he shows love, man. He shouted out Diddy. He kept saying that's his brother. He said he supports Ice Cube and the league, the Big Three. He's been donating to that and even appeared there. You know, he was in full mask or whatever, but it's like, that's what we need. And, you know, Ice Cube was big on trying to put together the Black agenda for the Democrats or Republicans or whoever would look at it. And he said the Republicans answered his call. The Democrats, you know, they sent him straight to voicemail. So, and now you're seeing a lot of the bought and paid for Democrat Black ones, the blue check blacks, be like, yo, I can't believe Biden's not doing the things that Biden said Biden was going to do. I mean, you know, here we are. We're like a year or two in, year and a half in, and it's just like, we warned you. We warned you that was how it was going to be. I mean, Ice Cube told y'all. And here's the nasty thing about the Ice Cube thing. And, you know, for somebody who you would say, oh, well, he's just a rapper. What does he know? The type of rapper you are matters. It's like Ice Cube's always had progressive ideas as a rapper, you know. Fuck the police. Defund the police ain't nothing but fuck the police gentrified. You know, you can write it on t-shirts. You can have it up in school and have a discussion about defund the police. Now, fuck the police. I mean, unless you at a university and there's adults and whatnot, then that's the only time you can really do that. But the type of rapper, I hate that we sometimes try to get off into, oh, well, you know, because they're entertainers. And it's like there are different types of entertainers. It's like if Nas is talking about some politics or Ice Cube is talking about some politics, I'm going to listen. But it's like if Young Thug starts talking, it's like, I can't even understand your rhymes. I don't know what you're saying here. Maybe it is political, but it's all mumbles. Sorry. Don't know what that is, dog. You know, Flavor Flav starts talking to you about politics. It's like, I was listening to Chuck D, dog. I don't know about you. Aren't you still looking for love and getting having girls spit in each other's face for your love or whatever the fuck flavor of love was. Anyway, which proves people don't like anything intellectual or political because Flavor Flav's had a longer post-rap career than Chuck D. And that's fucked up. But yeah, the type of rapper you are. So yeah, Ice Cube was always political. And even the labeling of him being a gangster was like a huge misnomer of like, this dude's not gangster, he's actually political. And what he's saying ain't nothing but what we started saying in 2020. This dude's been screaming, fuck the police since 1980 something. And it's 2021. And now you're yelling to fund the police. But you elected the police. You made your choice. So enjoy Cop Mama, aka the top cops, and Mr. Status Quo 93 crime bill. Anyway, where was I? I was talking about the Kanye interview. And yeah, he reached out to Drake and said that they should squash it and do something for the people. And recently, an interview or he read a message, and he read a message off the phone. He appeared with Jay Prince, who, it's funny because the young kids don't really know who Jay Prince is. And we had to tell them, like, listen, they're like, who is Jay Prince and why is everybody so afraid of him? And it's like, everybody's afraid of Suge Knight, but Jay Prince is the guy that Suge Knight is afraid of. You know what I mean? So it's just like, oh, that was a child laughter. I wasn't quite going for that. I wanted to hit some sound effects on y'all. But yeah, that's who the fuck. That's who Jay Prince is. It's like, you know, it ain't the guy who looks the biggest or whatever that you need to be afraid of. It's the guy behind the scenes making the moves. And that's who Jay Prince is. The nigga never really even says anything. And it's like, Suge barely talk, but everybody remembers Suge getting on the mic at the Source Awards. You know, East Coast, we know where the fuck we at then. Or that was Snoop Dogg, and then Suge snatching the mic. You want to be, you don't want to worry about a producer all up in the videos dancing. And now we see how Diddy is looking. And it's like, Diddy won. Suge, you should have been all up in the videos dancing, man. Because thugging and grabbing motherfuckers and punching them behind the scenes and holding Vanilla Ice over a balcony really didn't work out for you karma-wise, you know. I think Suge's still in jail right now, so it is what it is. I mean, you do speak some things into existence. When you name your label Death Row, it's like, yeah, man, prison. Beanie Siegel and them named their record label State Property, and guess what? He became the state's property. Locked the fuck up for a couple months. Well, Beanie was locked up for like a year or two, and that was in his prime. So it's like, yeah, you do. You know, Kanye named this shit good music, nothing to do with nothing criminal. Look where he's at. Anyway, where was I? So yeah, it was a good interview. Like I said, Jay Prince and Kanye released a video yesterday, and Kanye was kind of reading off his phone, and people were like, yo. And it's like, no, he's got so many ideas, and everybody jumped to he looked like a hostage. But anybody looked like a hostage standing beside Jay Prince. And Jay Prince didn't say shit. It was like, you know, me, Kanye, Larry Hoover, and Drake, we feel like with them two working together, we can get Larry Hoover released. So much power to him. I mean, Kanye's got a school built. And I'm like, that's a rapper trend I would like to see. We got enough record labels and clothing labels. It's like, yo, I mean, the clothing labels went crazy. People forget even Ja Rule had clothes. He had Irvin Giuffre. And it's like, nobody wore that shit. We got enough clothing labels, man. So some schools, Kanye's got his own school. He just got like a top 20 recruit, top 20 NBA draft prospect from this year's class to go to that school. So he's doing dope work. And some people still hating, oh, he had the MAGA hat on. Oh, the MAGA hat. And it's like, look, man, neither one of these parties are like Sprite and Sierra Mist, Trump, he was full of sugar, he was Sprite, and now we got Joe Biden, who's the same thing. It's like Sierra Mist has a little less sugar than Sprite does. Would you rather be treated like a nigga or called a nigga? And those some people chose, I'd rather just be treated like one. And it's like, look, if I ask you, would you rather be hit in your nose or your mouth? Your answer should be neither. Like life isn't binary. There's more than two choices. So I feel like long as they're giving us this two-party system, we not clapping for nothing. Status quo Joe does. Anyway, back to my point. But yeah, Kanye is trying to bridge gaps and he's on the gospel wave now. Jay Prince wants him and Drake to get together and they should do something. Like I said, he said he enjoys parts of CLB and whatnot. So anyway, what else did I want to talk to y'all about? Oh, Astroworld. So I think that Kanye interview dropped Thursday. Astroworld happened. The rapper Travis Scott, which he's got a McDonald's meal. Travis Scott, 8 people. I accidentally hit that. That was an accident. Rapper Travis Scott, which he's got some joints I like. Don't You Open Up That Window. I'm trying to think of what that one's called. Antidote. He's got some joints that go. Sicko Mode is nice. I kind of fuck with that. Not really a rapper though. He's more about the vibes. It ain't like you listen to Travis for lyrics. So there's a lot of white people there. 8 white people died. I said white people. I don't know their races, but I'm guessing. Anyway, something weird happened. We're not sure what happened still. One cop is saying that, he felt something in his neck, and then he passed out and they had to revive him with Narcan, which is like they use that for opioid overdoses. But everybody's acting like these people died from the stampede. It's like they did not die from the stampede. It's like they died first or they collapsed and then people started stampeding. So it's like, we still not sure if they all took a drug at the same time, but it seemed more like some straight up Jim Jones, they drank the Kool-Aid type shit than anything. But Travis didn't stop performing and they're trying to act like he did this on purpose, but it's like, yo, as a performer, contractually you're obligated to go up on stage and to perform and you don't stop for shit because people are always screaming, well, they were screaming help. It's like there's always someone yelling something at a performer and you don't know what they're yelling. At some point, it's just indecipherable noises, And I mean, I won't say that I performed in a stadium, but I performed in a theater where it's dark and you're like, yo, I can't really tell who's who and what's what out there. I'm just doing my job. So, shouts out to him for that, because I'm seeing people attack him and they're like, oh, well, Travis should have did this and Travis should have did that. And it's like, listen, we just had, what was that country music concert and 58 people died and nobody blamed any other artist. So I'm going, where is this coming from? Why are we blaming Travis? And I mean, it does break down racially or whatever, because Irving Plaza here in New York City, there was a T.I. concert in Troy Ave and Taxstone got into it and somebody got shot and died. One person. They said no more rap concerts at Irving Plaza. And the police commissioner was like, oh, violence just manifests itself from this type of music. And it's like, why you got to make it about the music, dog? Like, when them people died at a country music concert, y'all didn't ban country music. Just some of the dumb takes. And this is what I mean by propaganda. It's like, do y'all realize when y'all being used? Like, none of this is Travis' fault. But we always got to demonize the black man. That's seems to be the thing to do, especially if you straight. Now, Jussie Smollett, he orchestrated this attack, and for a month, people kept trying to defend him and deny that it was true. But, this happens at a Travis Scott concert, and For some reason, he's responsible. Ariana Grande had a bomb go off at her shit. Nobody blamed her. This country music concert, 58 people dead. They broke the record, and I ain't even counting the injured people once people started running. 58 people dead. Nobody said, yo, country music this, yo, these artists that, yo, Garth Brooks. Nothing. So anyway, Travis Scott, he's got his McDonald's meal. Yeah, Travis Scott's got his McDonald's deal, this McDonald's meal deal, which is interesting, because there hasn't been any touring since the pandemic. So I feel like artists found all these creative new ways to make money. What was Travis Scott's meal deal? I think it was like a quarter pounder and some nuggets, but it's like they're gonna have to add a defibrillator to Travis Scott's meal deal, or maybe they can add some what is the stuff that revives you, Naxalone or whatever, to Travis Scott's meal deal in case people get stabbed again with drugs, because they said they had to use Narcan to revive this guy. So yeah, maybe, who knows? Yeah, add some Narcan. It can be it can be a quarter pounder, some fries, and a 6-piece nugget, and some Narcan. I told y'all I'm a stand-up comedian, so I'm used to instant reaction. So I need something to keep me going. So we're going to keep hitting the soundboard whenever I feel like I make a good point. But yeah, somehow they made it Travis Scott's fault. And that's crazy. Like I said, Ariana Grande, the country music concert, nothing. That seems to be the thing. It's always a nigga's fault. Anyway, like when I think about Travis Scott, it's like, yo, there was a 9-year-old kid there, a 10-year-old kid. And so everybody jumped to, all at the same time. Wait, why is there a kid at the concert? And it's like, why is there a kid at a 10-year-old concert? Like, why is there a 10-year-old at a concert? And it's like, I think y'all only saying that because it's rap. It's like, how many kids was at that country music festival? Okay, he's 9-year-old and he got trampled. Oh, that's sad. I mean, it's a little black boy, so it is sad. But you go, yo, we live in a time where 10-year-olds are able to pick their gender, and 10-year-olds go to school and have to practice school shooter drills. So it's like, if I had a choice between dropping my kid off at an open carry state, like say Florida, where that Parkland shooting happened, how many people died in that Parkland shooting? Or dropping my kid off at Astroworld, I'd pick Astroworld all day. Astroworld is way more safe than Parkland high school, middle school, elementary, whatever the fuck. So it's like, we all leave the house. We take a chance on dying. It is what it is. Like I said, it's an unfortunate incident, but at the same time, it's like, yo, y'all got these kids doing school shooter drills. It's nothing more sad than that. So it's like, let's be real. These kids, they understand that death's a possibility. I mean, when you got elementary school students doing school shooter drills, it's like, when I was growing up, we had fire drills, tornado drills, school shooter drills. Or how about you get these guns off the street and protect these fucking kids? So let's not pretend like we care about children. Like I said, we don't. So it's way more safe, It's a tragedy. Like you can't predict when a tragedy is going to strike. So it's just silly. I mean, who was this motherfucker for Sandy Hook? I was in elementary school and they still didn't change gun laws. So it's like, y'all don't care about kids. Let's not do that. Y'all are trying to amplify this kid getting hurt so we can place some sort of restrictions against rap music. And when we say rap, going back to the Kanye interview, which he said, John Legend and other these newscasters and pundits, they would say rapper. And he said rapper is the new N word. And if you listen to how they say it, I'm saying this, the ER on the end of rapper versus nigger. So they really are, well, certainly don't vote for the rapper. And I don't know, would you leave your 10-year-old kid with a rapper? And it's just like, man, fuck you, because we know what you're saying. And I mean, everything's always our fault. They blame everything on us. Look at it was this NFL player that he did a stupid thing recently. He drove drunk or whatever and was driving, I think they said 150 miles an hour. And of course, everybody jumped to, well, I would never drive a car 150 miles an hour. And it's just like, first off, your Dodge Neon doesn't get up to 150 miles an hour. Like, that's not even on your dashboard. And I mean, it was some sort of fancy car. You know, they hate to see us in fancy cars. So they're already pissed at that alone. So yeah, 156 miles. They said Henry Ruggs III. He's a football player for the Raiders. And yeah, I mean, it's sad. The girl died. So obviously it's like, bro, you were driving drunk. No excuse for that. Put the motherfucker under the jail. It's fair. But what I didn't like was social media. The same way they're trying to blame Travis Scott. They're acting like he's crazy. It's like, this is why you don't put a football team in Las Vegas. Now, you can drive drunk anywhere, and we're not going to act like we don't know Dante Stallworth happened years ago. But I think he did go to jail for some time. Now, not nearly as long as he would have went if he was poor. But I'm thinking, what about Caitlyn Jenner that we all joke about, you know, he committed that accident as Bruce Jenner and then came back as Caitlyn, and everybody just forgave the fact that he ran over a person. Now he's out here, never served any jail time, and he's running for governor of California. So there's that. And who else you got? Oh, Brandy. Brandy killed somebody. People don't bring that shit up. Venus Williams a few years ago ran over somebody and they died. Nobody cared. So at a point, it just becomes about like, black men aren't allowed to make mistakes. That's how it feels. You know, Travis Scott's being blamed for this tragedy. Now, Henry Ruggs, he was driving drunk. Not excusing that. The motherfucker should go to jail. But then you have to ask the average person of, you're not the family of this girl. I expect them to be upset. I expect them to be mad. Why are you upset, though? Just the average person online being like, yo, fuck this guy. Oh, I hope they should give him the death penalty. He should never get out of prison. And then you go, did Caitlyn Jenner just run for office in California? You know, how long did Caitlyn get? You know, how long did Brandy get? How long did Venus Williams get? I don't even think she got arrested for that. So at a point, it's like, you know, celebrities, entertainers, athletes all get away with things. And I'm not saying that's fair, but it's like equal punishment. Equal punishment. Yeah, Henry Ruggs fucked up. But again, going back to Travis Scott, that you go, why black people deserve more harsh penalties? And I'm even seeing a lot of black women that they just parrot stuff that they see. Oh, well, they said this and they said this. So, because Travis Scott should have stopped the concert. And it's just like, you can't stop a tragedy. That's the point. You didn't see no country music star, I don't know, throw their hat. Well, he tossed his cowboy hat and at the guy in the window shooting, and then, it knocked him down, and then the police were able to apprehend him. No, it's not how it stopped. You get to safety, or you try to figure out what's going on, and that's how it works. So, yeah. And yeah, I think this person died. That Caitlyn Jenner ran over. So at a point, it's like, yeah, they get special privileges. And, shouts out to her family. That's sad. And even the families that died in the Astroworld tragedy. What bothers me about y'all, it's not the tragedies and people facing penalties or being punished or being held accountable even. It bothers me is the narrative and people acting like Travis is happy that this happened somehow. Or, acting like Henry Ruggs is happy that this happened somehow. It's like, no, this is fucked up. I'm sure they'd be the first to admit they fucked up, but it's like equal punishment for everybody. If Brandy gets to be on my TV for what's this new show, Queens, then, Henry Ruggs should serve his time or whatever. And like I said, she didn't even serve no time. So at a point, it's like, who gets held accountable for what and for how long? And is that punishment equal? That's all. But the hell else did I want to talk about? Oh, so also during this interview, Kanye shouted out Dame Dash, and everybody, if you listen to what my big brother was Big's brother, so that's the song Big Brother, Kanye made years ago about Big's Burke, which actually he's got some great quotes on Twitter. I've been following him recently, but going back to that Kanye shouted out Dame, which, Dame has kind of been banned by the Music Society. And everybody, thinks that Kanye gets his business acumen from Jay. But if you know the story, Jay really wasn't fucking with him as a rapper. It was Dame who said, Kanye's got these dope beats. If it's a bad album, we'll just throw Cam on every song. He's hot. And it's like, yeah, you got a point. And I mean, it worked. And I mean, if you really peep Kanye and how he talks and how people don't like how he talks or think he's aggressive or that he rants, which look at the connotations they use for us. When we speak, oh, it's a rant, he's aggressive. It's like, no, you could use nicer words with nicer connotations than rants. Anyway, he shouted out Dame, which was dope to hear. And I was thinking Dame Dash had a pretty dope week last week. I mean, Dame Dash, last week, he got shouted out by Kanye. What was that? Thursday on Drink Champs. The Saturday before that, Jay-Z got inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And Sunday, I think, was Halloween. The guy he wrote a movie about, Paid in Full, Alpo, died in the Harlem, got smoked in Harlem, rather. So on Halloween, which is crazy. But so Jay-Z shouted him out for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Alpo died, which is a guy he wrote a movie about. So I'm sure that movie will be streamed even more with people becoming more interested in that story, which Cameron played the guy, if y'all don't remember, in Paid in Full. But I live in New York, so it's like literally becoming an internet joke now of like Paid in Full on ice, of like, that's how much New Yorkers love Paid in Full. Anyway, and then Kanye shouted him out on Drink Champs. So you go, Dame Dash, a little bit of redemption for Dame because he's kind of been banned from society or the music industry anyway. So it was a good week for Dame. So salute to Dame. He got his flowers, Good week for Dame Dash. What else I want to talk a little about? Oh, I mentioned Alpo dying or getting killed in Harlem on Halloween, which is crazy as fuck. There's this other video I saw of a guy being dressed like a Hasidic Jewish guy. This was like a couple months ago, and it was in Brooklyn. And the dude is fixing his car like he's literally under the hood. Dude is dressed like a Hasidic dude, Hasidic Jewish dude. He's even got the curls coming down from the hat, dressed in all black, just like how they look. Walked up on the dude, broad daylight. Bow. There you go, yo. And they said it was some shit he told about 20 years ago. So that shit will come back on you. But yeah, man. Alpo passed, or Alpo got cooked. You know, the end of that book got wrote. Rich, like I said, Dame produced a movie about, you know, him and Rich Porter. And I mean, beyond the snitching, it's like he killed his man, which, you know, that's some dishonorable shit. And like they said, while he was looking for his little brother was being kidnapped. So anyway, what else did I want to talk about? Winding it down here. So I've been rambling. Yeah, so that happened. Like I said, Dame, and I'm looking now at 50 because you go, I'm sure before they even put the casket in the ground, 50 Cent will have coming soon to stars, the Alpo life story. And you're like, oh shit, man, he's just keeping this crack universe going of like, if you've been paying attention, 50 got obviously Power, which was a hit show. Then he had the spinoff of Ghost. Then the spinoff of even Ghost was Kanan's story. So you're like, oh shit, that's 3 shows. And then earlier this month, or 2 months ago, I should say, rather, he released BMF, which stands for Black Mafia Family. If you keep up with the rap world, and you kind of know that BMF is a couple dudes from Detroit, some hustlers and whatnot, and they got indicted like Young Jeezy, and different people used to shout them out years ago. And they were one of the most popular drug rings. So I'm laughing because you see Alpo get blasted, and you like, 50's got, I think, 4 shows about dope dealing now, and all he needs is that 5th. So I know he was waiting at the morgue before the body could even get cold. But like, please, man, just sign this. And you got to know that's Halloween is a horrible night to get shot on. It's like, ambulance, I'm bleeding. Everybody's bleeding, bro. It's Halloween. Everybody's bleeding. Like, can't tell if the blood is real or fake. So, yeah, Alpo got smoked. And like I said, 50's probably going to get that story and make it a part of his Marvel universe of crack dealing stories, which you almost like, write something else, dog. The Black community needs you to write something else. But then you go, as an artist, they do say, write what you know. What does 50 know? Which the only story he hasn't picked up yet is Supreme story. Now, if he tells Supreme story, I feel like that'll complete his Infinity Stones, and his hand will glow, and he's going to be unstoppable if he tells the Supreme story. That's the one story he probably won't get the rights to. And I mean, dude got shot 9 times. So if anybody deserves to tell these stories, but here's what I wanted to say about BMF, which is a pretty good show. Is it as good as Power? I guess only time will tell. But anyway, which also we must point out the conflict of interest. You know, people are overdosing. Michael K. Williams passed the other day, or a couple months ago. And everybody jumped to, oh my God, they're putting fentanyl in the drugs. This is horrible. And it's like, well, we watch BMF and we watch Power and we watch, I don't want to just point out 50 Cent, Paid in Full, you know, produced by Dame Dash. And we listen to music where people brag about selling drugs. And Fetty Wap got arrested recently. And, you know, they found fentanyl, or he was connected to some distribution ring that people started going in on. How come, you know, this guy is moving fentanyl? That's horrible. And then it's like BMF comes on at 12 tomorrow night, and everybody watched it because they're tweeting about it. So it's like, do we like people who sell drugs, or do we not? I don't really have a dog in the fight. I just think the hypocrisy is funny. And Can't tell if we going forwards or backwards, but yeah, pretty sure 50 and Dame Dash gonna fight over the rights to telling the Apple story and completing it. What else did I want to discuss? Oh, BMF. So the show BMF, which the actor that plays the character Lamont on there is very interesting. And I mean, he's actually not a American black. He's a foreign guy. He's from London. He's what Idris Elba is, I believe. And if you've been paying attention, you know, we talked about The Wire that kind of gave us Idris Elba, and everybody just assumed. And then you hear him doing an interview and he's like, you know, what's up, lad? What's going on? And you're like, oh shit, you one of them type black dudes? Like, nigga, I thought you was from Baltimore. But then there's also the kid Franklin Saint, or that's who he plays on Snowfall, the show Snowfall. John Singleton's masterpiece there, which is great because it also tells the story of how the CIA put crack in the hood. Now, me being a big proponent of self-responsibility, I always more will approach it from the angle of, even if they put it there, you didn't have to sell it and you didn't have to use it. Are we products of our environment? I kind of understand that we somewhat are, but it's like choices, nigga. Choices. I got a daddy that came up in that era. Do I got some cousins and different stuff that did fall victim? Yeah, but those were choices they made. It's like you got to be smart enough to understand that you can go work a regular job, a 9 to 5, and make $12 an hour. And you can make a consistent $40K a year, you know what I mean? And that's better than making $400K in 1 year and then being locked up for 10. I mean, the laws were the laws. And I mean, we all know what Crime Bill Joe did with the cocaine versus the powder versus the rock laws. But it's like, you also could have chose to stay the fuck up out of that. So, you know, it is what it is. But ultimately, I appreciate Snowfall because John Singleton, in his last masterpiece, also implicates the CIA and shows what was going on overseas, you know, with, was it Nicaragua? Not Nicaragua. What's the other place? Fuck. It's slipping my mind right now. The Contras and all that. So, you know, yeah, back to BMF. You know, this actor Lamar has kind of stolen the scene, but we all in the black community came together to realize at one time of like, oh shit, Lamar's British. So, and I mean, it fucked us up a little when Franklin Saint did it because he's got this classic scene where he's, and I mean, I was taking my first acting class when I watched Snowfall. So you've seen Franklin Saint, you've seen him evolve as a character. And dude, what is his name? His name's Idris too. So it's like, how many British motherfuckers named Idris y'all got? Anyway, when he locked in on that scene with old boy, and he said, I built this shit brick by brick. And you gonna tear that down because you don't like the way a nigga talk? Of like, yo, this motherfucker really locked in, like it really sounded like he from Compton somewhere. Anyway, so yeah, you watch the show BMF, and they got Meech's son, actually, little Meech, is playing Meech. And I mean, he's decent. I mean, it's his first acting role. Then the guy that plays Terry, he's decent as well. But then you got this Lamar character that you wind up going, yo, wait a minute. Am I rooting for the villain right now? I think I am rooting for the villain. So, you know, by the third or fourth episode, you're like, shit, I kind of like this guy. And then we all realized together on the internet, like, oh shit, this dude's name is actually Eric Kofi, a briefer. So Eric Kofi for sure. And then he's got one of them hyphenated people, a briefer. Which, you know, hyphenated people is always funny. There was this guy that in New Jersey, and he was a killer, killed a few women off Tinder or whatever. But I thought something was funny about his last name. He had a hyphenated last name. It's like, I'm sure both sides of the family wish they made him pick a name. Like, pick one name, nigga. because he just ashamed both of y'all families and disgraced both families. So sometimes it's like, make a motherfucker pick and not be hyphenated. Anyway, so yeah, Eric Kofi Abrifa has stolen that show. If you've been watching, he had this scene that kind of went viral where he was singing "You Can't Stop the Rain," which is a great song, but he's singing it almost demonically to where it's like, yo, and you hear him singing before you see him. And this was I think the season finale of BMF, because they only ordered 6 episodes. But I think we're all a little locked into this show now, waiting to see what happens, which obviously we know what happens because Meech goes to prison eventually, but they had a long run. Anyway, yeah, he is singing "You Can't Stop the Rain." You don't see him, you hear him before you see him, and then the shot comes in and you're like, great scene. He winds up killing his own friend, and you're like, damn, this dude is ruthless. He'll do anything. But yeah, he's kind of stolen the show. And now I said the other day, I said, yo, they can't write this character out. This Lamar character has to stay alive now, because I was definitely feeling like they were building him up to, all right, we'll get rid of him for season 2. But it's like, dude has stolen the show. He's emerged as the better actor or the most dynamic part of the show. You got to fucking keep him now. So I'm curious to see where they go with it. You know, 50's picking some great stories on account of, like I said, I ain't really with the drug dealers. It gets a little stereotypical, but you go, write what you know, and this is what the fuck 50 knows. So whatever. The last thing I wanted to talk about was and you know, 50 likes spinoffs too. So 50 might spin this shit off again and go, all right, coming to stars Lamar, the backstory, and just give you Lamar's whole childhood in a whole nother series. But the motherfucker is definitely you know, this is mixing your work with baking soda. This nigga's stretching all this shit. It's like, you know, Power was great for 4 seasons. By the 5th season, you're like, all right, this storyline getting a little old. And this motherfucker like, fuck that. It worked. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Here's Kanan book 2, Power book 2, and Power book 3 with Ghost. So you go, damn. You know, Tariq, you like, yo, this motherfucker will keep a story going. Like, there ain't no such thing if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Well, he's sticking to that rule to say, yo, stretch this shit out as far as you can. So don't be surprised if you see Lamar get killed off, and then Lamar, the story of Lamar, coming to stars. Also coming to stars, Alpo, the life story. And even 50 Cent is named after a gangster from Brooklyn, because that was always the rap disc for 50. People would always say, yo, you rep Queens, but you named after a dude from Brooklyn. So don't be surprised if he brings that into his infinity stones of drug dealer criminal stories. And I mean, people forget 50's also got the ABC TV show For Life. So it's like For Life, Power, book 1, book 2, BMF. And then it's like, who knows, man? Who knows whose story he's gonna tell next? But he's definitely sticking to what he knows. So shouts out to 50. 50's lasted a lot longer than people thought he would. When I was in high school, motherfuckers used to call me him. So I study him from afar. I'm like, yeah, we do kind of look similar, except he don't got the lazy eye and whatnot, whatever, haha, joke. Anyway, what am I saying? Because I'm running out of time here. The last thing I wanted to talk about was Aaron Rodgers. So going back to the old Stacks of Nation there with Aaron Rodgers, that, you know, I just don't get. I don't get why. Like, okay, do you know how hard it is to become an NFL MVP? And everybody's jumping down with the old, well, you know, Kyrie versus Aaron Rodgers. That it's like 2 things. One is, it's not the same. Kyrie lives in New York. New York has a mandate that I just referred to earlier in the early part of this episode, that even the cops aren't taking it. The NYPD, the fire department, is not taking the mandate seriously. you can't work or even just go out to a bar or club in New York City without showing your vaccination card. So, oops, I said the word. Anyway, so Kyrie can't play because they basically made it a law here in New York. Aaron Rodgers can play in Green Bay without it. So that's why there isn't that big of an uproar. It's like, it's not racial. It's not racial at all. And I'd be the first one to tell you if something was. It's not. I just told you that with Travis Scott and Henry Ruggs. Anyway, so Lamar Jackson from the Ravens, Baltimore, these are your last two NFL MVPs. Neither one of them is vaccinated. So it's like, that's only a thing in the NBA and in New York City because there are players on other teams, Bradley Beal and different people in other states who aren't, and it's not a big deal. So it's like everyone's going, oh, why Aaron Rodgers? But y'all not mad at Aaron Rodgers like y'all were Kyrie. And it's like, because Kyrie plays in New York, it's a big deal. And I don't care. I'm not a big proponent of, I don't give a fuck what people do. I am open-minded in the truest sense of the word, and meaning not just being accepting of someone who may be gay or whatever, or alternative lifestyle. I don't give a shit what you do, bro. To almost a fault. Like I said, I dropped my kids off at Astroworld before I would in any open carry state at any one of these schools. So anyway, that is why. But the last two NFL MVPs, and people underestimate the mindset when you tell players all the time, do not read the papers. Don't worry about what the critics think. Stay focused. Then it's like, that is a focus, like the same stubbornness that you have to become an NFL MVP. Like I said, Aaron Rodgers last year was the NFL MVP. Lamar was the year before. It's like, you need a certain stubbornness to be that great of a player because you have essentially tuned out everything else. You know, they're telling us in high school, I still remember my middle school teacher writing on the board, point like 0133. And he's like, that's the amount of you who play as a professional and get paid, you know. And he broke down the numbers of, this is how many people are athletes in middle school. This is how many people are athletes in high school. And the number kept getting smaller. And this is how many people are athletes in college. This is how many people are athletes as professionals. So you already have to be very, like I said, stubborn and very like not into what people are saying. It's like Aaron Rodgers came out the beginning of the year, and who did they lose to? They lost to a team they weren't supposed to lose to. And that was after he held out all year or whatever, because he didn't necessarily want to be in Green Bay anymore. And, you know, lost, stunk it up. And I mean, you got to get some reps with your team or whatever. But now they're 7-2. And I mean, they just lost this week, which everybody was like, well, why did they put? Because the backup quarterback, I think his name is Love, his girlfriend and his mom came and they put them up in the nosebleeds in Kansas City. And it's like, maybe they didn't need to see this massacre. Like, your team is about to get slaughtered by angry Patrick Mahomes. Maybe they sat you at the back because you don't need to see your boyfriend and your son take this ass whooping. So, and I mean, the Chiefs slaughtered them. So it is what it is. But anyway, back to Aaron Rodgers. Like I said, you have to be stubborn. He lost his first game. He couldn't go now read the papers and see what people are saying about him because they're, oh, he's out of shape. He's old. He's this, he's that. So like, dog, I'm 7-2. Well, 7-1 as the Green Bay quarterback now. It was the only game they lost. They won the last 7. So everybody's playing mad at him about not being vaccinated because he caught the disease, the virus, we'll say. And it's like, look, he could have caught it even if he was vaccinated. So what is y'all point? You know, there's NBA players every day that are having to sit out games because they, you know, contact tracing. You were around somebody who had, and they'll just isolate you a couple regular season games. That means more in football, but it's still like, what's the big deal, people? This guy's a multi-million-dollar quarterback. You're never going to be on a plane next to him. He's never going to be serving you your meal. He plays in Green Bay. Half them Hicks in Wisconsin don't care. Look, I'm from Indiana. I was just back home. Nobody was vaccinated. So where you play matters. And like I said, this whole chatter of, well, Kyrie, but then Aaron Rodgers, it's like, stop. It's not racial. It's the fact that he's been able to play. You know, Kyrie hasn't been able to play. And I'm all for Kyrie doing whatever the fuck he wants to do. As a basketball fan, I'm a little hurt because it's like the Nets are struggling. But as a fan of the actual person, Kyrie, I'm like, cool, bro, if that's what you want to do. Nigga like me, I'm going to go get every bit of that $30 million. I'm old, but everybody ain't me, and I understand that. But I think that was all I wanted to say. Oh, we'll end it on the joke that State Farm released a statement about Aaron Rodgers, and they are not too happy. State Farm is... Aaron Rodgers is a spokesperson for State Farm, and I think they are going to have to add anti-vaccination as a pre-existing condition. Or fuck it, I might as well go ahead and say it because I already said it once. It ain't exactly the boogeyman. People more afraid on YouTube to say vaccination than people are afraid to say Candyman 5 times. So yeah, they're going to have to add anti-vaxxer to the list of pre-existing conditions down at State Farm. And that has been another edition of Letting It Out. The sun's going down because it's daylight savings time. I'm looking at the screen like, why did I get progressively darker as time went on? Anyway, let me get the hell off here. That's been another episode of Letting It Out. Like, share, subscribe, folks. I'm going to be improving the show. Obviously, I know it's very bare bones now. It's just me talking, me ranting, just trying to get comfortable on YouTube. Anyway, I'm going to add StreamYard, be able to add some graphics and little things. Like I said, leave a comment, like, share, subscribe. Definitely hit that thumbs up, motherfucker. Thanks.